Please continue to watch this video. It just may save your life. Hi, welcome back to Herbal Bunny's Pharmacy. I want to do like a little educational video today and kind of like a testimony and share with you kind of my journey, what I've been kind of dealing with for the last 5 years off and on, and my healing journey on how I've actually been able to heal myself from a mystery illness that no doctors, they kind of gave me some labels, but they weren't exactly sure. They didn't really give me a proper diagnosis, and I got misdiagnosed a couple times, and I kind of got fed up with the whole testing and being poked and prodded and turned upside down. So I decided to kind of go on this health journey myself and to figure out what was happening inside my body and to heal myself naturally. Ooh, there's something floating. Squirrel. Okay, so the first part of this, I want to talk about the symptoms that I was having, because I think it's important to share that with you guys, because you may be having the same experience, and it's going to help kind of tie in my findings and whatnot on how I was actually able to heal myself and my own personal opinion on what was actually happening. So I made a list front and back of symptoms, and I don't want to stay focused too long on the symptoms, just kind of give you like a brief what was happening, and then some of them I may talk a little bit about a little bit more detail, but let's just go ahead and jump into this. All right, the main one I had started noticing up front because it had the most impact on me was my heart was skipping beats. I've always had kind of tachycardia. My resting heartbeat has always been between 90 to 110. I just learned to deal with that. That's kind of been my baseline since I was like 13 years old. I was diagnosed with tachycardia. They put me on a beta blocker. I didn't like it. I came off of it at age 16, 17. I did it slowly, so don't stop beta blockers all at once. That's horrible. So I did do it slowly. But in 2019 is when I really started having my heart skipping beats and noticing, because my heart was beating really fast, and sometimes I would check it, it would be like 140. So the skipping beats was almost like a daily thing. It would come in like spurts, like it would do it for like 2 hours. Like it would beat, 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 skip, beat, 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 skip, and it would be like that for hours. Okay. Then I started developing this sinking feeling, like I was just sinking inside myself, like I was taking like an elevator down. I just kept sinking and sinking and sinking. Okay, I had heavy legs. It felt like, I noticed like when I was walking, I was dragging my feet. I'm like, man, my legs just feel like they are just so heavy. So I had the heavy legs. Along with the heavy legs, at nighttime, I had restless legs. Like I just was trying to relax, and I just had to keep moving my legs. Like if I tried force myself to hold still, it felt like I was going to go nuts. So I had to constantly keep moving my legs at night. Horrible brain fog. I'm going to actually talk about brain fog in another video specifically, but brain fog is just basically where you just kind of feel like you're just not really here, sense of reality. You kind of have some forgetfulness. I did have that. I think most people may have experienced this, where I like walk into a room and I forget like what I'm doing. It was hard for me to concentrate, but the whole forgetful thing was pretty frequent. Like I'm like, what am I doing? Like I'd be talking about something and I like pause. I'm like, what the heck was I just talking about? So brain fog was just horrible. All right. My eyes. So I just felt like I was kind of like going cross-eyed. Like it was really hard for me to focus, like just up close. I'm like, man, you know, and I've had the same prescription since like 10th grade in high school, and I graduated in 99, and this was happening in 2019, so 20 years of the same prescription. And my doctor says, oh, your eyes are great and everything, and I had gone to see the eye. I was like, I feel like I'm going cross-eyed. I feel like it's hard for me to focus. I blink a lot. She's like, okay, you may have dry eyes, blah, blah, blah. I didn't feel like that was what's going on, and I kind of felt like sometimes when things would be moving, I would see like two of them. Like it was like this wave kind of, it was really weird to describe it to the doctor, and they just kind of look at you like, So I blinked a lot, and I had the vision issues. My hands would randomly go numb. The doctor says, oh, you maybe have carpal tunnel, because it'd be like these fingers would go numb, or my pinky and index finger would go numb. I'm like, okay, that is just really weird. Or Then I started having like weird random numb spots on my body. Like my calf would go numb. It'd be numb for like 20-30 minutes. I'd have like a spot on my head, like am I having a stroke? It would go numb. I had maybe like right down to here, it'd be numb, and it'd be like tingly and nummy, just random throughout my body. I had this inner vibration. My body felt like it was either humming or vibrating on the inside, and I was like, what is that? And then every now and again it was just like somebody took a light switch and just like turn off, and all of a sudden everything inside me just got quiet. Like, explain this to the doctor. I'm like, I'm humming and vibrating on the inside, and then it's like all of a sudden somebody just, and everything was like quiet. You know how like when your refrigerator's running and it shuts off and it's quiet? That's how I felt inside my body. I felt like I had bobblehead. Like I just felt like my head was not attached to my body. Weird feeling. I sighed a lot. And I think that might have been due to the anxiety I was getting. Like, I just feel like I couldn't get that nice, relaxing breath, you know, like when you're like, and you're just relaxed. I felt like I couldn't get that relaxing breath, and I just sighed a lot. I had hot and cold intolerance. I cannot stand to be hot, could not stand to be cold, and it just irritated me beyond, like, it was just horrible. I was like, it's really hard to find a happy medium, but it like really bothered me. Like my body hurt so bad when I was cold, and when I was hot I couldn't breathe. Okay. I didn't sleep a whole lot. I felt tired, fatigue all the time. I had no get up and go. My get up and go got up and went. Whenever I'd eat, if I did eat, I did lose a lot of weight during this time period because I wasn't eating, and when I did eat, it felt like the food was just sitting for hours right at the top of my just right below my sternum. And that was the other thing. It felt like my sternum was so sore, like it hurt, like when you pushed it and stuff, and then I twist back like this and my sternum would just pop. I'm like, what in the heck is going on? And my ribs are cracking in the front. Like I twisted and had my back pop, but not my sternum in the front, and it would just be so tender, and all up underneath my ribs was really tender. I'm like, am I having a heart attack? Okay, and I had rosacea. I still get some of the red cheeks that have been out in the sun, but my cheeks were like bright red. I had irregular periods, which may have been due to the stress. Ringing in my ears, it was like this low, like constantly in my ears. I cried a lot, mostly because I was just frustrated because I didn't know what was going on with my body. I had confusion. I felt like I was rushed, like somebody would be telling me to do something, and I just felt like I had somebody like, hurry. Like I just had that, you know, I gotta get it done. And which kind of led me to, like, I felt like I never accomplished anything. Kind of like, was it ADHD? I would be doing something and I'd see, oh, those socks over there need to be put away. Well, on my way to go put the socks away, I'd see something else, like a cup sitting on the table. So I would, you know, put the socks down there and take the cup and put it in the kitchen. And I'd say, oh, something needs to be washed. It was like I was constantly jumping around and like I didn't accomplish anything. Okay. Fast heart rate when I was standing. So whenever I would stand, my blood pressure would drop and my heart rate was just beating really fast, like 140 beats a minute. And it was really hard for me to get it to come back down. And I just felt that sinking feeling more. And I would want to fall to my right, which was really weird. I felt like I had like things crawling on my skin, crawling on my face, just really weird sensations throughout my body, and hard to stay focused, couldn't relax and all that stuff. So that was my main symptoms. Now I did not have all these at one time, though I would have multiple symptoms at one time, mainly the heart skipping beats, but every single day I had some sort of symptom. Every single day I felt heavy and weighted, like I was sinking. So now I want to talk to you about, those are the symptoms. Let me talk to you about going to the doctor. God help those doctors. I went in there and I had a list. And I had said, hey, this is what's happening. He's like, looks at it for 2 seconds. He's like, oh, you have anxiety. Here, take this pill. I'm like, I said, these symptoms are giving me anxiety. And he's like, no, this is anxiety. You're paranoid, and you're hypochondriac, is what he told me. I was hypochondriac, and I was need to take anxiety medications, and I was not willing to accept that. And I said, maybe it's something hormonal. He says, well, you are approaching your 40s. There's 5 stages of menopause, and you could be in the perimenopause. And he just kind of listed off a couple things. He's like, here, get back on birth control, because I did come off of birth control January of that year, and then in March is when I started noticing symptoms. I was like, okay, well, maybe that's why I was thinking it might have been hormonal. I was like, well, maybe I need to go back on birth control. But I didn't like the birth control because I had to wear a pad every single day because I didn't know if I was gonna be bleeding. I'm like, this is stupid. And when I came off the birth control, I had gained 37 pounds from January to April. Oh my gosh. But I did lose it because I wasn't eating. I didn't feel like I was eating or feel like I was hungry. So he gave me this prescription. I had contemplated on actually taking it, thinking, okay, I could take this medication for a period of time. He gave me a beta blocker and an anti-anxiety medication that was just like a fast acting one that you just take whenever you're having the symptoms, because I didn't want to take something every single day. And I did that for a little while, but then I was like, okay, I'm still not feeling better. I'm not getting better. Still something going on. And I was in the middle of med school, and I'm like researching outside of what my curriculum was, and just trying to find out, some answers, like what is happening to my body, what's happening to me. And I actually went to counseling. I talked to a counselor. I talked to her about the symptoms I was having, and she says, well, you're fixating on it, which is going to make your anxiety worse. And so I got into different activities, and it was just really hard for me to even want to go out and do anything, because I was like, what if I'm like out hiking, because I love hiking? What if I'm out there and I have some sort of a cardiac event and I'm having a heart attack, and I have no way to get to the hospital? And that was the other thing. I was going to the emergency room at least once, twice a month, because my heart rate was beating so fast and so hard, I thought I was going to die. So yeah, so I had gone to that. I had actually went to a naturopath, and she said, well, she wanted me to go to a neurologist, and she gave me some herbs and stuff she think it was something neurological. And so she did a couple blood tests. She said I had low iron. It could be that I had hypothyroidism, or my thyroid wasn't working as well. And so she gave me some herbs for the thyroid. She gave me some herbs to help balance my hormones. And she had recommended me going to a neurologist. So I went to a neurologist, and they're like, oh, let's do this one test, where they stood me up and they took my blood pressure, they sat me down, they spin me up on the side of my head on this tilt table test, and they're like, oh, well, you have POTS. So POTS is posterior orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. It's an autoimmune disease. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this could make sense. Let's see. So they wanted to give me 4 different medications to help put this in remission. And I started taking the medications. Good Lord, the symptoms from that was worse than all this together. I was mad all the time. I could not focus. My heart rate was in the 30s. I'm like, I traded one evil for another. So I'm like, what the? So I was like, you know what? That's when I started doing prayer meditation. And I'm like, okay, God. And I did this for 6 months. 6 months. Praying. What can I do? What's happening to my body? Lord, I'm taking the herbal supplements. I'm taking the pharmaceuticals. Blah, 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 blah. And I was crying on my way home from work. I had to leave work early because my symptoms were so bad. I couldn't stand it. And I was in so much pain. That was the other thing. My body, whenever I had these symptoms, I'd hurt so bad inside. My joints, my back, my neck, my head. On the way home, thank God I only lived like 2 miles from work, I'm bawling and I'm just pleading with God, give me a sign. What do I need to do? I pull up into my driveway. I have this bush next to my house, and I've lived here since 2004. This was in 2019, towards the end of 2019, in the fall time. And I'm like, okay, what is growing in this bush? Like I said, I've lived here since 2004. This bush has never produced anything. I didn't even know what kind of bush it was. It has pretty pink flowers in the springtime. But there was something attached. It looked like an apple, and I thought one of the kids took an apple from the apple tree in the front yard and stuck it in there. Well, I grabbed it, and it was actually attached. And I'm pulling it. I'm like, this ain't an apple. I cut it open. I didn't recognize the inside of it. And so I took it to a local farmer, and they're like, oh, that's a quince. I'm like, never heard of a quince. And I was like, I've lived here since 2004 and this thing has never produced fruit. He's like, oh, well, you're lucky that it did this year. Usually it is proliferant. So I started thinking about my prayer, and I said, God, give me a sign. And this was God's way of telling me that I need to be more in tune with nature and fruit. That was because I was like, okay, Lord, because when God gives you a sign, you want to pray, okay, what does this actually mean? What is this sign? You gave me a sign. He gave me a sign for a purpose. And that's when I came to what I teach in my other videos. What is nature doing that you're not doing? That was my sign, and that was my testimony for how I began my healing. That's my testimony on how I began my healing journey. So I really started diving deep into, now I talked about like healing with herbs and eating plant-based stuff, but a lot of the plant-based stuff I was eating was processed. It's important here. I watch a lot of videos on how to go plant-based, and they're doing like the tofu and the Impossible burgers and the Beyond Meat burgers and stuff, and vegetarian this and vegetarian that, and frozen meals because they're quicker, easier, blah blah blah. So I really started eating those, and I'm like, I think I'm doing well with eating plant-based. So, but that revelation God gave me was, what is nature doing that you're not doing? Nature isn't eating processed foods. Nature's not eating things from a box. And I started looking around because God also put on my heart, what is growing a lot in your yard? What's growing a lot around you? Because God supplies our needs. That was the other thing that had came to me. God will supply all my needs. So I started looking around. I have yellow dock growing everywhere on my property. I have chickweed growing everywhere on my property. I have stinging nettle growing everywhere. I have blackberries everywhere. So I started doing research on what medicinal purposes these plants have. Well, supplying vitamins and minerals. Iron was a huge one. The stinging nettle and the yellow dock helps with your iron. And just started to incorporate these things that were growing, these weeds growing around my property, into my diet. I was juicing them, I was drying them out, making teas with them. I started looking in the areas, okay, what can I grow around here? I started growing mint, grows really well here. I had lemon balm. I was like, where the heck did lemon balm come from? I knew it's been growing everywhere on my property. So, and lemon balm is also known as Melissa. It's part of the mint family. She's growing everywhere. I have purple dead nettle, grows everywhere. So just incorporating these things into my everyday diet and changing up the way I was eating. So I made it a conscious effort not to be eating processed plant-based foods, processed anything. Every now and again, yeah, I go Burger King, whatever, get an Impossible Whopper, or go to Jack in a Box, or go to Subway, get a sub. But just really, that's how I healed, was looking at what is nature providing and what is nature doing that I wasn't doing. And that's why I really wanted to focus on educating people on the importance of getting back to nature, growing your own foods. You know, I go to like these little farmers markets, and I go to the local farmers and stuff, and we kind of do exchanges and stuff. I grow a lot of squash. Squash grows really easily where I'm at. Tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers, stuff like that. Just starting to grow my own food and incorporating those wild weeds into my diet. Now it took a while, but the main thing that I started noticing was the sinking feeling started to lift. I felt lighter. I was actually able to go out. Like before, I go out, just walking wore me out. I was able to go out into my yard and clean up areas because I wanted to garden, and just cleaning up just a small area to plant something. And I felt accomplished being able to do that because I couldn't do that the previous in 2019. So in 2020, when everything was shut down, I decided to garden. And yeah, like I said, it took like 6 to 8 months before most of the symptoms started to go away. And this is something that you've got to be patient with. It's not going to be a magical pill. I took my herbs for my hormones. My period started balancing back out. My weight started to balance back out. I still have weight that I need to lose. I've always been on the heavier side. And just being able to get out into nature, grounding myself, walking barefoot through my garden, and just laying in the sunshine. I love laying outside, getting my vitamin D3. I did a video on talking about the importance of vitamin D3. And going back to the doctors, I just go to them just to get my blood test and stuff. And they're like, oh, the medication's working. I was like, no, I stopped taking all the pharmaceutical medications. And they just kind of looked at me. The neurologist, like, there's no cure for POTS. You know, she was convinced that the medication that she had gave me to put the POTS in remission was working. And I took that medication for about 30 days and I couldn't handle it because I couldn't handle the symptoms. So I stopped gradually. I don't recommend anybody, you have to do your own research if you're trying to stop medications. Please just don't stop, okay? Do your research before you do any of that. Yeah, so the doctors were just kind of like, okay, well, maybe it's just a fluke. Maybe you just had these symptoms just for a spout and now you're over. So my theory on what was happening to my body was chemicals in these foods that was wreaking havoc on my nervous system and my digestive system. I wasn't eating foods properly, and when you don't have a very good digestive system, you don't have a good hydrochloric acid in your body cannot absorb vitamins and minerals, and a lot of processed foods don't have vitamins and minerals unless they put synthetics in them. They're depleted of a lot of nutrients. So if you don't have a good digestive system, even if you eat healthy, you got to really build up your body. So that's what I focused on. And by eating a lot of plants, I did apple cider vinegar, I did betaine hydrochloride, I did a couple things that were kind of man-made, I guess, the betaine hydrochloride capsules that I was taking to help build up my stomach acid. But once I got it back up, I didn't feel like every time I eat, because I did have acid reflux. That was another symptom I didn't write down. I had acid reflux like crazy. I had to sleep sitting up because whenever I laid down, my heart would race and it just felt like I was on fire. I wake up in the middle of the night and it felt like I had a surge of energy right down below my sternum, like electric. It was horrible. That was another symptom I didn't talk about. But yeah, so just eating. So a lot of these chemicals can have huge effects on your nervous system as well as destroying your digestive system. We get leaky gut, we get gut dysbiosis, which is an imbalance in your gut. And I needed probiotics, I needed prebiotics, I needed digestive enzymes, and I was lacking a lot of that. And these chemicals, my body didn't know how to process them, and your liver kind of filters everything. And if your liver doesn't recognize it, it just kind of stores it away in your fat cells for a bit until it can get to it. It's like, oh, I don't know what this is. And just by eliminating those chemicals and eating nutritious food was helping to flush out. So what I would recommend for you guys, do your own research and things, but just feel like, it feels right. What is nature doing that we're not doing? That's what felt right to me, and that's my testimony. And I highly believe that it was these chemicals that was in the food, in my environment. Like there's a lot of endocrine disruptors, and I may do a video on endocrine disruptors and some of the things that's like the plastics are receipts from the grocery store. I'm like, no, I opt out for receipts now because it has chemicals on the ink jets that gets into our skin. I try to use more healthier detergents and shampoos and soaps and and things like that to help balance out my hormones and things. So that will be another video. But yeah, I just want to give you guys my testimony and how I was able to heal my mystery illness that, you know, the doctor said I had severe anxiety, I had POTS and depression, things like that. And tachycardia. So my resting heart rate now is, it's still sometimes a little high, like in the 80s, but it's like 86 is about my normal right now. And that's pretty good, especially for spending so many years of it being 90 to 110. So I'm really happy with that. I'm more physically active, and you know, and the other thing was before I went vegetarian, I had some of these symptoms and I didn't know because I just kind of adapted to them. Like the heaviness, like a lot of these symptoms kind of just got worse. I didn't realize I had them until I felt better. And that was, you know, a huge thing, that sometimes you just kind of just accept that I'm getting older, my body's gonna hurt. You know, my back hurts. Oh, I get up in the morning, my feet got plantar fasciitis. It's part of getting old. That was it. Plantar fasciitis was another one I had. But you will see a difference. So I just encourage you and challenge you for at least 30 days. Just try whole plant-based foods. I took out dairy, I took out wheat, all wheat products, gluten, peanuts, corn. We don't even digest corn, so don't even eat corn. We're not cows, we don't need dairy. We get calcium from, you can get calcium from almonds, you get calcium from plants. I took out eggs, and sugar. Sugar is, I'm going to do a video just on sugar and the detrimental effects it has on our nervous system and our body and our gut health. So yeah, I took out those other things there, and just, you know, ate a lot of plant-based foods and harvested from my yard. So made teas and smoothies with yellow dock root. I dehydrate the root and make teas out of it, make tinctures. It's bitter, but our bodies need bitters. So anyway, please go ahead and subscribe to the video and share the video, because I really think that more people need to have this knowledge and have the realization that, you know, there may be something else that's going on in their body that doctors are missing. And I really feel like, you know, this was definitely put on my heart. God was saying, hey, it's time for you to make this video and get your testimony out, and to encourage me to keep on eating healthy. Because there are times where, you know, because I'm feeling great, I feel wonderful, but then when I eat crappy, I really feel it. Like, I'm like, oh, there's that feeling I had before. Get myself back on track. So, all right, you guys, please, please, please subscribe, share, and comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.